In under 1 minute, does Sadiq Khan prove to us all right here in this clip that he's corrupt and that he's taken bribes as a mayor of London? Well, let me explain using amateur linguistic analysis. Hey up everyone and welcome to Political Nerds. I'm Steph the Alter Nerd, your nerdy political guide from Washington DC to Westminster and beyond. In today's video, I'm going to be using amateur linguistic analysis to ask if under 1 minute did Sadiq Khan in this clip, the Mayor of London, slip up and prove that he's actually taken bribes as Mayor of London? Now, I'm just asking for a friend here, and this is all, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. But before we jump into it, of course, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. And as a disclaimer, I'm not inciting hatred to anyone or particular group, religion, etc. So let's jump into it with this clip right here.
Finally, it emerged this morning in the Londoner that LS Events, the company that gave you tickets to watch Taylor Swift last year, have benefited from almost £45 million in GLA contracts. Does that not raise any conflict of interest to your mind?
Well, the Conservatives have made various complaints to the monitoring officer about me. I think three courts have been kicked out at the first instance. It's not even been worthy of investigation. I think there's an investigation being undertaken. I'm quite clear in relation to somebody who follows the rules, makes declarations, but also somebody who's unashamedly pro-London. I will not hesitate in banging the drum for our city. I'm not in charge of procurement decisions for obvious reasons, and it's really important those that are in charge of procurement decisions follow the rules as well.
Yep. Now, this question that Sadiq Khan has just answered, and I say answered, it's been set by the interviewer to actually anticipate a binary answer, as what Sadiq Khan has been asked is what's known as a closed question. Now, a closed question is something that reduces the responder's answers to a set of options predetermined by the question itself. So in this instance, the interviewer asks one question, which is this. The company that gave you tickets to watch Taylor Swift last year benefited from almost $45 million in GLA contracts. Does that not raise any conflict of interest into your mind? Now, this closed question is predetermining the options upon which Sadiq Khan has to choose from in order to answer it. The predetermined options being here is either yes or no. But as you've just witnessed, Sadiq Khan refuses to answer either yes or no. Instead, he goes on this freaking convoluted answer, firstly partaking in what is known as a deflection. So he deflects the topic of the question onto another different topic. So in this instance, he goes on to bash the Conservatives, trying to make out that him being investigated is nothing more than political point scoring that's pointless, as he says. 3/4 of their complaints have already been kicked out. He's trying to set up the notion that the topic of the interviewer's question is not to be treated seriously as a result, saying that it's not even worthy of investigation. So, as far as he's concerned, it's not worthy for an interviewer to ask him this in the first place. He then trips when it comes to the words done, stroke, undertaken. Now, this is also known as a slip of the tongue, and there are 3 types of these slips. So the first one is what's known as phonetic slips. And this is errors in pronunciation, like saying cat instead of bat. Now, I personally partake in this slip a lot, right? The second type of slip is what's known as a semantic slip. And that's finding another word with a similar meaning. So sometimes I might have a brain fart and I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. So, for example, if I'm wanting to say couch, but for some reason, I've had a brain fart and I can't think of that word couch. Instead, I'll say another word with a similar meaning, like chair. And then the third type of slips is morphemic slips. And that's amalgamating 2 different words together. Like, I'm getting a little bit nerdy here, but when Lindsay Lohan's character in Mean Girls gets invited to a high school party by her crush, she says gruel which she then explains was a mashup between the words grey and cool. Now, in Sadiq Khan's case, he amalgamated the two words done and undertaken together. So he did a semantic slip. Now, there are many factors as to why these kinds of slips happen. Now, one of which is stress and anxiety, because nervousness can cause people to stumble over their words. Now, I wonder if this is the case with Sadiq Khan. And if so, why is he feeling nervous about being asked about potential corruption on his part? Because if he's innocent, then surely there's nothing to feel nervous about, right? Now, what he says next in his answer is quite disturbing. He says, I'm quite clean in relation to somebody who follows the rules. Now, quite clean means something that's relatively clean but not perfectly clean. So he's indicating here that potentially there is some dirt on him when it comes to the rules, that he doesn't follow them 100%. So could this indicate, again, corruption on his part? He then makes this whole song and dance about him being pro-London. It's as if he's turning around and saying that even though he's not 100% clean, he's pro-London, and so his potential corruption can be forgiven because he's pro-London. He then deflects further, trying to shift the blame onto somebody else entirely, saying if there's any corruption in terms of the government hiring companies in London, then the book ends with those in charge of the procurement decisions. So what should have been ultimately just a yes or no answer turned into a deflective, morphemic slip and convoluted answer that, when you think about it, it don't actually answer that question at all. In fact, based on his slips and what he says, for me, it puts further suspicion on to whether he's actually corrupt and took bribes as Mayor of London. Because let's put it this way, you're either clean in relation to somebody who follows the rules, or you're not. There's no middle ground on this one. So, ultimately, is it yes or no? The LS Events, the company that gave Sadiq Khan tickets to watch Taylor Swift last year, benefited from almost £45 million in GLA contracts. Does that not raise any conflict of interest into Sadiq Khan's mind? It's either yes or no. There's no middle ground on this one. But enough about what I think. What do you guys think? With that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and unfortunately with the state of the UK at the moment, there's going to be more, then make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe here at Political Nerds. If you're watching on X, make sure you're following me at Steph Alter Nerd. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy, theory, whatever. Based on Sadiq Khan's answer, what do you guys think? Ultimately, was there a conflict of interest in him accepting tickets to watch Taylor Swift from a company that has benefited from almost £45 million in contracts? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.